Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus and compare it against the iPhone 14 Pro and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now, both these phones are kind of different, but they're roughly around the same price tag. So if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, you can definitely tell there are some pretty big differences between both these phones. The iPhone 14 Pro came out late last year, about like 5 months ago, and on the front it had a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now this was a pretty good panel, a whole bunch, not really a whole bunch of display, but dynamic island display. It had 120 hertz ProMotion, and I definitely do think this is a really good panel. I don't know if it's better than the S23 Plus. I feel like there's still a lot of similarity, but I don't really like the dynamic island. I like the whole punch display on the S23 Plus. I like that design more, but the ProMotion here feels very smooth, and iOS is very smooth as well. So this is basically a very smooth feeling phone. Now on the Galaxy S23 Plus, we have a much bigger 6.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display. So this is definitely a bigger panel. As you can see, it barely fits in the camera frame. And I will definitely tell you, this is one of my favorite panels. I mean, the S23 Ultra is probably better, but this is a very good looking screen. It's also 120 hertz, whole punch display up on top, and basically it's just a really good panel overall. So there's not really too much to complain about here. Maybe this panel is better, like they're very close, but this one is a bigger panel. It's 1080p, so I think it's actually lower resolution than the iPhone 14 Pro, but it's still a very good looking panel there for sure. Now on the sides, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of a difference. So they're both flat-sided, which is cool, but you can kind of tell that the S23 Plus is a little bit more curved than the iPhone 14 Pro. It's not a big deal, and I actually kind of like the little bit of curve, but I think I like the 14 Pro a little bit more. You have a Lightning on the bottom, USB Type-C on the S23 Plus. And on the back, you basically have a triple camera setup on both these phones, but they are actually vastly different. So with the S23 Plus, we have that triple camera setup going from the top left down. With the iPhone 14 Pro, we have that triple camera setup, but they're all like kind of pushed up into the corner. So I like it on here. I think it looks great. There's not really too much to complain about in either one, if I'm being honest. But I still think the S23 Plus design looks good. Frosted glass backs on both as well. We have, wireless charging on both. With the S23 Plus, though, we do have reverse wireless charging, which is an amazing feature. It's surprising that Apple still hasn't implemented this, considering it's like one of the best things to have on any phone out there. And yeah, that kind of covers it up. With the outside, I mean, they feel more similar than different. The S23 Plus, though, is a much bigger phone than the iPhone 14 Pro. Now, in terms of software and longevity, I actually think the iPhone 14 Pro is definitely going to outlast the S23 Plus. From everything that I've been hearing about with the way Apple's approached their chipset design now, this one has the latest chipset, but the 14 has this like older chipset. So because of that, I think this iPhone is going to last much longer than a lot of people think. And I think Pro model iPhones are probably going to start lasting longer than their base model iPhone 14 versus 14 Pro in this example. So I think with the 14 Pro, I'm definitely going to outlast something like the S23 Plus. But that's not a big deal because the S23 Plus is still going to be supported for quite a bit of time. This is going to be a phone that you're still going to be able to use for many, many years. I mean, I think the S20 Plus just kind of got discontinued. It's still going to be getting some updates here and there. So if that phone's still getting updates, this one is not going anywhere anytime soon. And how many people do you know that are using the S20 Plus, right? Most people are upgrading their phones every 2 years, 3 years anyway. So it's not like you're going to miss out on too much, but I definitely do like having a phone like the 14 Pro where it's just going to probably get supported until the phone is malfunctioning. So in terms of that, that covers it up there. Now let's do a speed comparison between both phones. The S23 Plus has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8 GB of RAM, where the iPhone 14 Pro has that Apple A16 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. Let's go and hop out of all these apps, and you can see they're cleared out, so let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go and hop out of here. Camera, 3, 2, 1. I think the 14 Pro was faster. Let's go and take a photo. S23 Plus was faster to take the photo, but the 14 Plus was faster to go and open up that photo. So some differences there. Let's open up their Play Stores, 3, 2, 1. And the S23 Plus, as you can see, was the faster one there. Scrolling through here, let's see if there's a difference, which I don't think there's going to be that big of a difference here. And you can see that kind of the same thing. Both are very smooth. I think the 14 Pro may have been a little bit smoother though. As always, we have some of these third-party applications we can go and open up. And of course, they're going to be here. Let's try Genshin Impact. It's a pretty big game. 3, 2, 1. And I thought I messed up, but I guess I didn't. Now, with both these phones, you have to remember that, this is a massive game. So we're just going to get into the actual loading panel of it. And I think they're both going to be pretty good. You can see the 14 Pro I actually did get into it a little bit faster than the Galaxy S23. That's another very interesting thing that we kind of had going on there. Hopping out of here, let's go and try Snake vs. Blocks. 3, 2, 1. Now this is not that big of a game, so I don't think it's going to take that long. And you can see pretty much didn't take that long at all. Both were pretty much the same. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and try Netflix. 3, 2, 1. iPhone 14 Pro again was the faster one. Let's go ahead and get into Thank You, which I don't think I have. Oh, I do. 3, 2, 1. iPhone 14 Pro is slower here than the Galaxy S23. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and get into Facebook. 3, 2, 1. And again, I think that 14 Pro is definitely the faster one there. Hopping out of here, let's go and get into another one. Let's do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now this is kind of a bigger game. I'm really hoping we don't get into any weird pop-ups. And we didn't, so we're good to go there. And you can see, not really too sure if there's going to be one that's like exponentially faster here. But the S23 Plus was the faster one when it came down to it. Let's go and hop out of both of these. Let's see if there's a specific one that's like faster or something like that. Okay, hopping out of both. Okay, I don't know why it took so long. Let's click play. And I think both are going to be roughly around the same thing too. I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference here either. Let's go and wrap it up with another one. Let's try something like Roblox. 3, 2, 1. And even to load into Roblox, the launcher takes up a longer time on the S23 Plus than here. So I don't know which one is the faster one per se. I think they're both very, very fast. I think maybe the Galaxy S23 Plus is a faster one in general, but the iPhone 14 Pro was faster most of the time. I think this phone needs to be updated a little bit, but in terms of that kind of covers it up there. You guys can kind of decide which one's the faster one. In the camera department, you can kind of see a lot of similarity, but both phones are very good cameras. With the S23 Plus, you have a wide ultra-wide telephoto lens, same exact thing with the 14 Pro, 4K at 60 on the front and the back. But the S23 Plus does have the 8K at 30 frames per second now on the back, so Samsung is making some improvements there, which is really good. Now, the 14 Pro's camera, I'll definitely say it's pretty good. Like, it's not, I don't think it's a humongous upgrade coming from the previous generation, to be honest, but it's still a pretty good camera. You have 15x zoom, you have 0.5x zoom on the outside, like the ultra-wide camera. You have video mode, cinematic mode, slow mode, time-lapse. It's a pretty good camera, but there's just not that many features built in. Like, we have super slow mode, and we have an improved cinematic mode, but there's just not as many improvements as Samsung should have put here or as Apple should have put here, in my opinion. And that's kind of the problem. We're just kind of still stuck in like the same camera that we've been having for many, many years now. With the S23 Plus, although Samsung really hasn't, I would say changed the camera UI too much, their initial camera UI that they've placed like from years ago is still very, very good. They have so many features built in. You have portrait mode. Now, it's not as smooth of a camera app as the iPhone 13 Pro, and apps like Snapchat and TikTok, those are going to perform better on an iPhone. But with the stock camera app, you are getting way better camera features. Under more, you have so many options. You have Pro mode, you have night mode, you have so many food mode, like so many modes you're not even going to use. But it's really nice to kind of have because they're just sitting there waiting for you to use them. So that is this is probably the better camera when it comes down to it, not because of the hardware, but a mixture of the hardware and the software. So to kind of sum up this video, what I'll tell you is I think the S23 Plus, very, very good phone. I think, it's a brand new phone, so it should be very good. You're getting a bigger display than the iPhone 14 Pro. You're getting good build quality. You're getting better camera, maybe better performance overall, although it's still a smoother phone on the 14 Pro. And yeah, in probably like 4 or 5 months, this phone is going to be like half the price, so it's going to be like half the cost of an iPhone 14 Pro. I still think the 14 Pro is a very good phone, though. Clearly, it's a brand new iPhone. This phone's going to be lasting longer. It's going to maintain its value a little bit more. The iOS ecosystem's great, but I don't know. I think both these phones are more similar than not. You're just getting a bigger phone on the S23 Plus. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.